Okay, next we'll go to the development of nasal cavity. So in the first there is a formation of nasal placoid. The nasal placoid is nothing but it is an ectodermal thickening of frontonasal process on either side of the midline. So after nasal placoid, what happened? It will be imagined to form a nasal pit. So this nasal pit is communicated with the stomatodium. So this nasal pit, what happened is deepened to form a nasal sac. So I show this is a nasal pit is deepened to form a nasal sac. So this nasal sac, this is the ventral opening of nasal sac, gives origin to anterior nasal aperture. So now this nasal sac is separated from the oral cavity, one important membrane. That membrane is called as oronasal membrane. This oronasal membrane will start rupture at the time of 6th week of embryo. So during the time after rupture, this oronasal membrane is converted to form a primitive conae. So this primitive conae communicate nasal cavity with the oral cavity. So this primitive conae, where it is present behind the primary palate. So here this is the medial nasal process. We know the medial nasal process gives rise to primary palate. So now this primitive conae is formed after the rupture of oronasal membrane. So what is the main function of this primitive conae? It is going to communicate the nasal sac with the oral cavity. After the formation of secondary palate, what happened? This primitive conae is converted into definite conae. So this definite conae communicate the nasal cavity with the oropharynx. So the dorsal opening of nasal sac is give origin to posterior nasal aperture. So this posterior nasal aperture communicate the nasal cavity with the oropharynx. So here, when this maxillary process grow medially, this medial nasal process also grow towards medially. The frontonasal process became narrow. As a result, there is a formation of nasal septum. So what is the fate of this lateral nasal processes? This lateral nasal process gives rise to ala of nose. This is the lateral nasal processes. So this is the lateral nasal processes give rise to ala of the nose. So here in the lateral wall, there is an appearance of nasal concha. So this nasal concha is nothing but it is an elevation which is present along the lateral wall of the nasal cavity. We have a three elevation, or you can say three concha. We have a superior, middle and inferior concha. So where the nasal placoid is formed, the nasal placoid is nothing but it is an ectodermal thickening which is present on either side of the midline. Understand? So this ectodermal thickening gives rise to olfactory epithelium which is present in the roof of the nasal cavity. If you talk about, I will summarize the nasal cavity. The nasal pit deepens to form a nasal sac. This anterior opening of nasal sac forming the anterior nasal aperture. So after formation of secondary palate, what happened? This primitive conae is converted into definite conae. What is the main function of this definite conae? Communicate the nasal cavity with the oropharynx. So the dorsal opening of nasal sac gives rise to posterior nasal aperture. What is the fate of posterior nasal aperture? It is going to communicate the nasal cavity with the oropharynx. The original olfactory palcoid, here whatever the ectoderm is thickening, this ectoderm gives rise to olfactory epithelium which is present in the roof of the nasal cavity, and the lateral nasal process gives rise to ala of nose. This lateral wall of the nasal cavity consists many elevations. So it consists of three elevations. It's called as concha. We are having superior concha, middle and inferior concha. So this is about the development of nasal cavity. So next we'll go to the development of eye. So here what happened? First, around the forebrain vesicle, the ectoderm is got thickened to form a lens placoid. So this lens placoid, it lies above and lateral to the nasal pit. So later what happened? This lens placoid is separated from the surface ectoderm and buried into the underlying mesoderm. So after buried into the underlying mesoderm, it leads to bulging of highball. Initially it lies laterally in the angle between lateral nasal process and maxillary process. So when the maxillary process grow towards medially, simultaneously the frontonasal process become thin and the medial nasal process also grows towards medially. At the time what happened? This bulging of highball come to the face forward. Now this surface ectoderm which covers the lens placoid is going to give rise to three important structures, that is epithelial lining of cornea, epithelial lining of conjunctiva and lacrimal gland. And this lens plaque coat give rise to lens, and this lens plaque coat enclosed by bilaminar layer, this is called as optic vesicle. This optic vesicle consists of two parts, anterior 1/5 and posterior 4/5. So this anterior 1/5 give rise to two important structure. Number one, ciliary body and iris. And posterior 1/5, it consists of posterior 4/5. It consists of two layers, inner and outer. This outer layer is gave rise to pigmented layer of retina, and inner layer gave rise to neural layer of retina. So this is the brief introductions about the development of eye. So okay, next we'll go to the development of ear. So this development of ear is developed in relation to the first ectodermal cleft. You already know we are having a pharyngeal arches. This arches is covered by ectoderm. This ectoderm dips into groove to form a ectodermal cleft. So this ear is developed in relation to the first ectodermal cleft. In the first ectodermal cleft, especially the dorsal end, we can see the series of mesodermal thickening. Or you can say hillock. Three mesodermal thickening will be seen along the caudal border of mandibular arch. One more three mesodermal thickening will be seen along the cranial border of hyoid arch. So this mesodermal thickening, which is coming from the mandibular arch, gives origin to helix, crus of helix, and tragus. So these are the derivatives which is coming from the mesodermal thickening from the mandibular arch. And next, the three mesodermal thickening which is arises from the cranial border of the hyoid gives rise to antihelix, antitragus, and lobule of ear. So we finished the development of face. Next we'll go to the clinical anomalies. Just you want to know some clinical anomalies which is related to the development of face. So first, this is very, very important, that is called as first arch syndrome. So this first arch syndrome is mainly due to failure of, or you can say insufficient migration of neural crest cells to the first arch, especially during time of 4th week. It leads to two manifestations called Treacher-Collins syndrome and one more syndrome, that is Perry-Robbins syndrome. The Treacher-Collins syndrome, it is a genetic disorder. It is an autosomal dominant genetic disorder. So what is the main defects? It is defect in the mainly in the chromosome 5. So what are the clinical features which comes under the Treacher-Collins syndrome? Number one, hypoplasia of zygomatic bone, or we can say cheekbone. And there will be defect in the lower eyelids, and defects in the development of ear, and downward slanting of palpebral fissure. So these are the main features to be seen under Treacher-Collins syndrome. Next we'll go for Perry-Robbins syndrome. So this is also a genetic disorder. It is mainly due to defects in the chromosome number 2, 11 and 19. Sorry, 7. 17. So what are the symptoms which comes under Peary-Robin syndrome? Number 1, underdevelopment of mandible. Number 2, posterior displacement of tongue. And leads to what happen? Upper airway obstruction. And finally there will be a cleft palate. This is about Peary-Robin syndrome. Next, facial cleft. Here the facial cleft, what I told, the maxillary process fused with the lateral nasal process. Before fusion there is a groove. The groove is called as nasolacrimal groove. Here what happened, the ectodermal cells will be proliferate. It will be buried into the underlying mesoderm to form a nasolacrimal duct. Sometimes the maxillary process unable to fuse with lateral nasal process. In this condition what happened, this nasolacrimal duct will be exposed to exterior. So this condition is called as facial cleft. And next, unilateral cleft lip or hair lip. This condition is mainly due to failure of maxillary process fused with the medial nasal process of one side. If it is bilateral means failure of fusion of maxillary process with medial nasal process of both the side. This is bilateral hair lip. What is macrostomia and microstomia? So inadequate fusion of maxillary process and mandibular process leads to abnormal wide mouth. This condition is called as macrostomia. In the case of microstomia, too much fusion of maxillary process and mandibular process leads to small mouth. This condition is called as microstomia. So these are the common anomalies will be seen in later to the development of face.
Make a cup of coffee.